Ladies and gents, boys and girls, what is going on Tuesday, November the 1st, 2022? Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate you all tuning in. I see Jeff Gullidge, John Edward, Todd Smith, Bill, Connor Lee, Travi, Gad, Stephanie Lee, Travis Allen, Steve Morwell Jr., Kevin Crossan, Chase Floyd, Chuck McIntosh, Carolina Titan. What's going on? The entire crew is here. Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Head over to the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel, to be sure your questions are answered there. Gene Lott, Cody Gaskins, what's going on? Appreciate you all tuning in. It looks like we're once again live on Facebook. Glad we're back up and running on Facebook. I do believe it was a Facebook issue yesterday, by the way, because I believe that Instagram was having some glitch issues also, and I believe those two entities are owned by the same company. But either way, we're rocking, we're rolling here on this Tuesday, guys. Again, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much for the continued love and support of the Daily Crow and the Spurs Up Show. Of course, guys, as always, the Daily Crow brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. When you do, use the promo code TSUS. You're going to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. And guys, so many of our friends and fans of the Spurs Up Show and the Daily Crow have made tons of money this football season with our friends at Prize Picks. So again, guys, that's promo code TSUS at sign up. When you go download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So be sure to go check them out. It's all prop plays, guys, college sports, pro sports. You already know the drill. Go win some money and break the bookie with our friends at Prize Picks. Guys, again, appreciate you all tuning in. We got my good friend Alex McGrath joining the show today at 12:30. 12:30. So in the meantime, that means we're taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. I do want to hear from you. Also, we got Shane Beamer's press conference at 1:30, which, normally, obviously, we're all very, excited and intrigued to hear what Shane Beamer has to say. This one, I think, will be watched a little more closely than some of the others, right? It'll be the most closely watched Tuesday presser in quite a while, just because I think everybody, when you have the turmoil that has hit South Carolina football the way it has this week, and everybody's watching and overanalyzing and just kind of waiting on pins and needles to see, does Shane Beamer say anything specifically about the offense, Marcus Satterfield, the play calling, the usage of the playmakers, Spencer Rattler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we will have that at 1:30. You don't need to go anywhere, guys. Of course, the podcast will drop tomorrow, TDC all week this week. And again, appreciate y'all so much rocking and rolling with the punches, as we are obviously not in studio. We are, I say on vacation, but the work obviously continues. But we're just working remote, man. We're on an adventure, if you will, having a good time, getting out and about. I like to switch things up. Next week, we'll also be on the road remote Wednesday through Friday. We'll be heading down to Hilton Head for our event down there with my good friends at Carolina Cigars. Also, guys, let me remind you, this weekend, all my Greenville Gamecocks, my upstate Gamecocks, we will be at the Carolina Ale House off Woodruff Road in Greenville, South Carolina. We will be at that location for the Vanderbilt game, 7:30 kickoff. Doors open at 11. I'll probably get there probably around 5 or 5:30 because I'd like to watch the second half of that Tennessee-Georgia game at Carolina Ale House. So would love. They're going to be a great time. I want upstate Gamecocks. Would love to. Let's jump to the phone lines here. Todd, what's up, man? How are you?
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you from sunny Florida. I'm down here in Miami on my way back to Kansas. But
very nice.
What I was calling about today is I'm hearing a lot of chatter. Some of the other podcasts that you're actually guest on sometimes, talking about, the severity of what's going to happen with our offensive coordinator and the players being upset, and just it seems like there may be a little dissension in the ranks, and how Spencer Rattler hasn't looked as good as what we anticipated, and part of that because they believe that the offense is a little bit more it's not as easy as what he was used to running at Oklahoma. And I'm Notre Dame Have you heard anything about Jaheim Bell possibly leaving to go somewhere else, or some of our other offensive players leaving to go other places besides South Carolina next year?
I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any real rumors. I think they're just that. They're rumors. I don't think there's anything concrete, I should say. But, when you have Jaheim Bell's mother voicing her displeasure on social media, and I'm sure she's just echoing his own frustrations. I listen, I think if Sat were retained, you'd probably see some guys dip out. I just don't see that happening, though. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'll eat crow when the time comes. Because, I mean, we're all behind Shane Beamer 110%, right? So you kind of, I'm not going to say
Absolutely.
you don't have a choice, but you kind of don't have a choice. If he decides it's best for the program moving forward to keep Marcus Satterfield, we can disagree, but what are you going to do? It's either support the guy or you turn on him. But no, I think there would be a ripple effect. I haven't heard anything, like I said, specifically like Jaheim Bell today is going to enter the transfer portal. But so I think anybody you hear saying that, especially like fan accounts on Twitter, I think it's folks trying to do the math in their head or connect dots that maybe even dots aren't there. But I mean, when you have players, especially on the offensive side, that aren't getting the football and they're disgruntled, I mean, the transfer portal is a real thing. The transfer portal exists. So, I mean, if they feel like they can go somewhere else and better their own situations, they might take advantage of it, right? I mean, the transfer portal, you just never know, right? You never know what's going on in the kid's head. I thought Dak Joyner would hit the transfer portal years ago, and he never did, right? And then there's some guys and then there's some guys, you would think everything's going great for them behind the scenes, and you're like, there's no way they'd hit the portal, and they do. So you never really know. But obviously, you're speaking on a guy like Jaheim Bell, and he's not getting the football. You know what I mean? And so if that were to continue, and especially if Marcus Satterfield was retained, I mean, how much confidence would a guy like that have to come back and be a part of the offense and be a part of Marcus Satterfield's offense? So I can't see. I mean, if Beamer's presented with a choice, if it's either Jaheim Bell or Marcus Satterfield, I can't see him making that mistake. I can't see him doing that.
Right. Well, now you're starting to, more and more people at press conferences and things are point blank asking, is it time to make the change at OC? And you hear Beamer with a very distinctive, hard no.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's coach speak or he's just holding his cards close to his chest until the season's over. But it's not just one or two people now. It's all people that have it, press passes and things that are asking these questions, and it's starting to get louder and louder. That's why I was concerned about it. But
yeah, no, I mean,
I'm on board with the Fire Sat shirt. I just need to. How do I need to do? What do I need to do, Chris? Because I definitely need a 3X, and I know you can't get the comfort color garnet, but a regular garnet, black and white would be fine. But I'm definitely on board with getting with you to buy one of those. So you just tell me what I need to do.
Yeah, just shoot me a DM. I can get them made really quickly. It'd take me 5 minutes. So I'll use a different variant. Like I said, Comfort Colors goes up to 2X. Bella Canvas goes up to like 5X. So I'll create them in Bella Canvas as well, which is still a really high quality product. We just, Comfort Colors is the most popular, but Bella Canvas is, like I said, it's really nice too. So a lot of our shirts are that Bella Canvas variant. But yeah, just shoot me a DM and I'll get it made. But yeah, I mean, it's something's got to give, man. It's crazy that the roller coaster of being a football fan, being an SEC football fan, and being a Gamecock football fan is just unlike anything you'll ever experience, man. The highs are so high and the lows are so low, and it's,
I just hate to see Shane Beamer have this cloud over him now, because we were all and we all still are on the Shane train, but this is really starting to become a discouraging thing for, I'm sure I'm not the only fan that feels this way, because we did have such high hopes, of course, with all these additional pieces that were added this year, getting Shane Beamer, who we all know loves the program. So I'm just ready. I'm ready and tired of being, it's just sitting on the edge of your seat every week, and when you think things are going the way we want them to go, they don't go.
Yeah.
But anyway, sure. I'll let you go. Love what you do, man. Really appreciate what you do. and love being a part of your show every day, man. So thank you so much, Chris, and you have a great day, brother.
Todd, you're the man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah.
Great stuff from Todd Smith, and I really do appreciate Todd tuning in. And Todd has supported the show in different ways. And Todd, I want to say thank you again. Shoot me a DM. I'll get those shirts made for you. I know Comfort Colors, for whatever reason, only goes up to 2X. We'll get that taken care of. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, everybody. My name's Justin Housen. I've been a Gamecock fan for 33 years. I'm 34 years old. Where I grew up at, they put two bibs on you, a Clemson bib or a Gamecock bib. I remember seeing pictures of me as a baby with diapers, future Gamecock in training. I just took a Clemson. This is a Spurs Up show. What's up, Chris? Oh, my bad, man. I thought I was calling AA for Gamecock. Don't clip that. Anyways, I just wanted to I've been doing some thinking, man, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Beamer is a first-year head coach, second year in the SEC. He comes from good coaching DNA. I think Shane feels the pressure, but actually taking time to look at it, we are quick to say, well, it's the players. And then some Gamecock fans will say, well, we can't be negative and we can't criticize the players because if we do criticize the players, it's going to make recruits not want to come and play here. Okay, with that being said, it could be the same aspect for the head coach, meaning if Shane comes out and says, okay, well, I'm firing Satterfield, that might deter a big-name OC or a good OC from coming here because it's like, if the fans don't give me a chance to perform and implement my offense, he might fire me at will. So I'm kind of glad Shane's just riding it out because Satterfield's contract hasn't been renewed. Mm-hmm. There's a chance that behind closed doors with the love your brother and everything, Shane's telling him, hey, look, we're going to weather this storm, but at the end of the year, I'm going to cut you loose. Go ahead and start looking for another job while I start finding somebody to come in. No, personally, you just can't cut it at this level. And then to speak on what you and the other caller was saying, I agree with that. I think that if it comes down to Shane's ass being on the line and I got Jaheim Bell and Doty and other players, and with the comments Rattler made, right, I think that a change will be made. My only issue or variation is if the change gets made, what do we do? And this probably sounds like a conspiracy theorist, but I recently just found out we have a Clemson alum on the board of trustees, which I'm not a fan of whatsoever. But we don't need to go get a retread of OC. I think the board needs to open the checkbook and tell Shane, go get who you want from whatever school. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the next OC, you need a name, a guy with a proven track record. It can't be another Marcus Satterfield, right? It just can't. It can't be another guy where it's kind of a flyer and it's again, when Shane was hired, he sold the whole thing of, we're going to bring these top-notch assistants, the best assistants possible. And again, thankfully, to this point, and I know some people, I mean, this is a great week to gripe and complain, but for the most part, Clayton White has worked out well. And Pete Limbo is obviously a superstar. So those two have worked, even though they weren't huge names. But I think you got to go get a name at OC because this second one is the one that Shane Beamer will be judged on, right? And this is the one that people are going to make up their mind on him as a head football coach here. Because as much as I'd like to think that, this fan base will be patient and give Shane Beamer time, and I think if the second OC is a swing and miss, I think folks will start to turn on Shane Beamer. And whether that's fair, unfair, whether you agree or disagree, coaches just aren't getting 6 or 7 or 8 years to build a program. If it's by year 4 and offense isn't clicking, offense isn't going, I think a lot of people are going to throw Shane Beamer in the Will Muschamp bucket. And again, I'm just pointing that out. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, whether that's fair, unfair, right or wrong. I think that's what probably will happen. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Open the checkbook, go get a big name, go get a big time guy, go get a guy with a track record, go get a guy that's going to excite the fan base. People ask me, what's my short list? I haven't started looking at, different names who the top candidates will be. I don't really do that until there's actually a vacancy, but someone who's going to bring an up-tempo, exciting, fun offense to Columbia, where your top players and your playmakers are going to be featured, right? Somebody that when he's hired and you hear the name, it just gives you hope, right? The good offensive football is on the way. So that's the pedigree that I'm looking for. And again, somebody with an impressive resume and a track record, and somebody you feel like you really feel confident in, right? That it would surprise you if it didn't work out, right? So, yeah, man, the pressure's on. The heat is on. There's no question. I mean, we're feeling it all week. And like you're saying, we don't know that things aren't being talked about and changed behind closed doors. I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? Is we're complaining. We feel how we feel this week. And I know we're all going to tune into Shane Beamer's presser at 1:30. Outside of we have fired Marcus Satterfield and or we are changing play calling duties, there is nothing Shane Beamer can say in this presser. There's nothing he can say in his Thursday call-in show. There's nothing he can say that will appease the appetite of Gamecock fans this week. And the only thing they can do against Vandy is just score 30 plus, 40 plus, whatever. That's all they can do. But people were, I've seen a lot of people on social media, and a lot of people reaching out to me. Well, Chris, I don't like what Beamer said. I don't like, but I'm like, there's nothing he can say. If he's not making a move.
Back to the love your brother thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of it is, just being a fan and being on the outside looking in. I think a lot of it is that he's built this culture. I'm going to call it what it is. He's threw his shades on. He's got his hater raids on. And he's built this culture up of love your brother and family. And with family, you always keep your problems, drama behind closed doors. And I think that's the image he's portraying to these players. He's portraying to the recruits like, hey, there's going to be outside interference, but we'll handle everything in-house. With Pete, special teams, they've been magnificent. Not making excuses for defense. But when you compare defense to offense, Clayton and his defense has faced similar, if not the same adversity throughout the season up to this point as offense, with injuries, with plays. And somehow, some way, they've made it work. With the 3rd and goal stance, giving up a field goal to Mizzou. They scored, but it wasn't 7, it was 3, and they kept us in the ball game. They didn't have any help from offense. That's what happened. And listening to Paul Feinbaum yesterday, he said something that was kind of interesting to me. Everybody looks at Tennessee. What are they doing different? Tennessee's running a college-style offense. They're not running a pro-style offense. They're not trying to do that. And I think that's something that's coming back to college now, is they're getting away from the college. They're going back to running a college-style offense of put the ball in your best playmaker's hand, design plays around that best playmaker, find out who your playmakers are, and create offense around them. Not one player, but the whole lot of your talented players. Whereas whenever you get to the NFL, everybody that's on the team on the field at one time are talented players.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you, man. I'm over the pro-style offense BS. Run an offense that works in college where guys can actually put up numbers and stats, and you know what? That will get them to the pros. I don't know why, who cares if you play in a pro style if your numbers stink? Because I can guarantee you Spencer Rattler's not getting any nods from NFL scouts. Well, he's playing in a pro-style offense. Even though the numbers are bad, at least he's playing in a pro-style offense. Really doesn't mean a whole lot. You know what I mean? Put up numbers at this level, and next level will take care of itself.
We've seen Rattler's arm. We've seen his arm up to this point, I would say a minimum of 5 times. Right. Like on one hand, I could count a designed pass that went over 20 yards. There was a shot, and it was like, if it was not completed, Marcus gets scared and he shuts it down. So the arm talent's there, but we can't see it. And you can't go 1 for 1 or 0 for 1 on that situation and say, okay, I'm scared. I'm not going to call that anymore. Swing pass, run. Running Juju up the miss. No disrespect to Juju McDowell. Yeah. You're not an SEC between the tackles back, kid. You're great on the swing pass. If you can catch it and you get blocking, you're excellent with that. you got to utilize their strengths, and I don't think he's doing it. But anyways, I just wanted to lighten everybody's mood, man. Thanks for the call. Love what you're doing. Glad I got to call in. It's been a while. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day, and go Cox.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the call. I saw somebody comment, by the way. I see somebody commenting that, let's see. He's already lost the locker room. Did you not see Cam Smith's Twitter? What is Cam Smith's Twitter? What does anybody know Cam Smith's at? What is his at on Twitter? What are you talking about? Let me know in the comments. Some back to the phone lines. Alex, what's up, man? How are you?
What's going on, Chris? How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
What's going on? Not much. So I didn't get to hear much of the Daily Crow yesterday. Got busy at work and everything, but I just kind of give you my take on the whole Satterfield and everything. And I don't want looking at the message boards on Facebook and all those groups and everything. And people are, oh, well, that Satterfield and offense is doing horrible. We lost to Missouri. Well, Beamer needs to. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, he's got 4 games left in the season. His contract's up this year. Why are we going to spend the money that we're still paying to freaking Muschamp and whoever else and get rid of him now? Why not just wait the 4 games, buckle up, ride it out like you said in the podcast yesterday, and at the end of the year, cut ties and call it a day?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I will say this, that we know what the problem is. Now what's the solution, right? If we turn it to being solution focused and solution oriented, and I know we're all upset, and the beautiful thing is that we can use this platform and this time to voice the frustrations, and they hear it. I want to make that very clear. They hear it, they see it, they hear it, so they know. I just, unfortunately, unless South Carolina loses to Vandy and gets like shut out in doing so, right? Because I think that would obviously just force your hand to a degree that beyond any piece of merchandise that could be dropped or any tweet that could be sent or any group of folks, getting upset or whatever. But outside of that, I just don't think it's going to happen till end of the year, man. I'd be pretty damn. I mean, if Shane Beamer is willing to adamantly sit there the day after the Mizzou game when asked, are you even thinking about changing up play call? And he says, nope. And that's it. That's the answer. That tells me there won't be a move made until after season. So I just, unfortunately for this fan base, I don't think there's an answer right now in the short term. Now, I think it, I'm of the thought process of this. As long as you make the move after the season, no matter what the final record is, as long as you make the move, you know what? That's fine. If you want to wait till his contract literally expires at season's end, if you want to just not renew it and then, move on, fine. But the move has to be made. But unfortunately, what that means, again, is that in the short term, we're Gamecock fans are going to be left. That appetite's not going to get satisfied. You know what I mean? That there's not going to be a resolve to the problem at hand right now.
Oh, definitely. It's like I was going back and forth. One guy on the message board yesterday, and he was going saying, well, it's the same amount of money. Just pay him to not coach the 4 games and to be able to prove that Beam has a pair and fire him. Thinking, I get the frustration and everything, but at the end of the day, we're only a year and a half to fixing the train wreck that Beamer, that Muschamp left us in. And everybody went from, oh God, we're going to go 10-2 and win the East. We're going to the playoffs last week. Yeah. And now it's, oh God, the world's burning and let's just destroy the whole program. But I mean, it's college football, which makes it great.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'll say this to you. Yeah, I want to say this to your point, because you make a very valid point. And it is funny how, literally this time last week, right, we were smoking the Aggie pack and people were calling in talking about, we could be 8-2 going into Tennessee and we could get College Game Day. And now it's completely flipped to we're never going to win again. The locker room's falling apart. The program, burn it to the ground. And again, it might sound blasphemous, and those who would be advising me might advise against me saying this, but because it's the extremist viewpoints are what produce views and clicks and numbers and all that. And here's what I will say. This is truly where I stand because I'm not an extremist this week. I think Marcus Satterfield needs to be relieved of his duties. If it were up to me, I would have done it after the Mizzou game. If Beamer wants to do it, as long as it's done in the season, I don't care. That's fine with me. We got 4 games to go. The season is almost over anyways, right? With that being said, I know people, and I'm not trying to be positive, Paulie. It's like, oh, don't be going soft on us. Somebody commented, but things are never as good as they seem. Things are never as bad as they seem. This team, as abysmal as the Mizzou game was, A&M and Kentucky still happen. And I know people are going to poke holes in those games, special teams, defense. I understand how we won. Beamer ball to the freaking moon. Maybe the truth lies somewhere in the middle, that we're not as good as we saw against A&M and Kentucky. We're not as good as thinking we were 8-2 going to get game day for Tennessee. But we're also probably not as bad as we're going to lose to Vandy on the road and lose out the rest of the way. I just, maybe the truth's in the middle somewhere. Maybe it's not. Maybe we really do lose out the rest of the way. I have no idea, but I just, it is funny to your point, my man. It's like, you know, if I would have told you this time last week, hey, man, by the way, we're going to lose to Missouri and everything's going to be crumbling, you would have called me crazy and negative and pessimistic. So that's what makes college football great, though, is that it is such a week-to-week game. I mean, it's one week you're going to win the national championship, and the next you're never going to win again. So, I mean, that's literally how it goes. That's why we love it, though. That's why we love it.
It's funny is I was listening to Garcia last week, and you were talking about the Kentucky game after they beat Alabama, and I just had a feeling in the back of my mind that this Missouri was going to be our Kentucky game.
Yeah. And
sure enough, here we are. But it is what it is at this point. Let's roll on with the punches and go Gamecocks. I appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate everything you do, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the call, my friend. Guys, we're going to go ahead and close up the phone lines here. We got my good buddy Alex McGrath joining us in a minute or two. But again, listen, I'm as frustrated and upset and furious as you all are as well. But I say that while also realizing that the season's not over. Like, we will play better. We will play better. I don't disagree. Marcus Satterfield's a slapdick. We all know that. But we will play better. We will not play as poorly as we played against Mizzou every game the rest of the way. Now, what does that mean for our record? Do we finish 6-6? Do we finish 7-5? Do we finish 5-7? I don't know. But we can and most likely will. I mean, here's the thing, guys. I said this on Sunday, repeating myself in a clip. I'll say it going in these next two because I said it before we went in this stretch of Kentucky, A&M, Mizzou, Vandy, Florida. Literally just looking at Vandy and Florida, guys. The bad news is you're coming off of your worst performance, I would argue, of the season. Right? You're coming off your worst performance of the season. The good news is there's only up from here, I guess. And the good news is you're playing two teams in Vandy and Florida that are just as inconsistent and flawed as you are. See, that's the funny thing is I understand that we're a team that relies on defense and special teams. That's our identity. We're Beamer ball to the freaking moon. That's who we are. It'd be different if we were playing Georgia this week where it's like you really feel like we're playing somebody, man, they're just going to expose us. We don't have a chance. But, guys, to insinuate and pretend like Vanderbilt is some juggernaut that, like, we're going to show up and the mighty Vanderbilt Commodores are going to expose us as the frauds that we are. Is Vanderbilt capable of that? And if you say yes, what is your basis behind that? What have you seen from Vandy this year that makes you say, man, the Commodores, they're fear the Commodores? Like, what have you seen from them? I'm just, again, I'm not trying to be positive Paulie, but I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, hey, and listen, if we lose to Vandy, hit the panic button. Hit the freaking panic button. That's it. Hit the panic button. I mean, I'm saying all this. If you lose to Vandy, everything I say doesn't matter. And again, there is nothing that Shane Beamer can say this week that's going to make Gamecock Nation feel any better about the current situation at hand. The only thing he can do, the only things that can happen are he comes out and says, we are firing Marcus Satterfield right now, or he could say, we're making a change in regards to play calling duties. But I don't think he's going to say those things. So the only thing that can happen that's going to make Gamecock Nation feel even 1% better is bouncing back and beating Vanderbilt. That's it. That's it. That's it. So I see people that are like, Shane needs to say this. And hey, listen, if you think that Beamer's making a mistake not firing Sat right now, then that's fair and that's a take, and I respect that. But for folks who were like tuning into the pressers and are like, why isn't he saying this? Why isn't he responding to this way? Why? There's nothing he could say, guys. There's just nothing he can say. Right? So, I mean, again, and hey, I understand. Last 4 games, we've entered the final month of the season, which is crazy, by the way. But, I don't know. People who were calling in asking about us being 8-2 and getting College Game Day, that felt kind of aggressive, right? Does it not also feel aggressive to say this team's going to finish 5-7? Is going to lose out, going to end the game on a 5-game losing streak? Does that not feel aggressive, guys? I just, again, I'm not trying to be the sunshine pumper over here. I'm just trying to inject some perspective, just trying to inject a little perspective. Now, again, if you go out against Vandy, but I will say this. I don't think anybody's going to be happy if you go out and beat Vandy, 24-17, and you look shitty on offense doing it, right? I mean, and I'll say this. I see somebody commenting, Trad says, if we lose to Vandy, we very well might miss a bowl. If we lose to Vandy, we're going to miss a bowl game. I think that's a given. And again, if we lose to Vandy, God, if we lose to Vandy, if you think this week is bad, if you think the reaction from the fan base this week is bad, oh my God. I don't want to see Gamecock Nation after a loss to Vanderbilt. I don't even want to think about that. I really don't, because guys, what's interesting is this. I'll tell you this. Here's something that should make you feel good. Because when you look at, 13 in a row, right? Let me make sure. Somebody look it up. 13 in a row, right? That Carolina's beating Vanderbilt. 13 in a row. I believe it's 13 in a row. Either way, over the last decade plus, no matter how good South Carolina football's been, no matter how bad South Carolina football has been, one thing has remained constant, and that is beating Vanderbilt. A tale as old as time. The Gamecocks beating Vanderbilt in football. Look at last year. It was meant to be. South Carolina should have lost that game. And Zeb Noland, God bless him, said, not this year. The streak lives on. South Carolina is just meant to beat Vanderbilt in football, it seems. Let's see. Jesus Christ. Xavier Leggett asked what it means to get the ball in playmakers' hands. Xavier Leggett says, quote, it all comes back to the offensive coordinator. Whatever he calls is what we've got to do. That meaning coaches call the plays, players have got to go execute. That is an interesting comment, to say the least. Chase says, if we lose to Vandy, how about a fire sat ass tat? Here we go. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Coach Ford. Let me throw this on the screen. Look at this. That's a novel, Coach Ford. He says, we wondered if the offense could carry the mail of special teams indeed and not deliver points. We found out that answer firmly. We cannot score but 10 at home versus a horrible Mizzou team. We do not look capable of beating anyone except South Carolina State and Charlotte without help from the other team. Turnovers and special teams breakdowns. We have no identity. Every team at heart is either run to open the pass or pass to open the run. We have no idea which we are, and that is why people like Bell continue to go AWOL. We have to get an OC that will be aggressive, spread the field. We do not never will get the caliber O-line required to run these 12, 13 personnel packages. Candidates: Art Briles, Jeff Levy, Garrett Riley, Jeff Grimes, and Graham Harrell. Questions are, A, can Beamer find the guts to fire his friend? And B, what good OC wants to coach for Beamer? Coach Ford, bringing the heat, man. Listen, I appreciate Coach Ford bringing the heat. Which it's funny, too. You mentioned Marcus Satterfield being his friend. I find it really intriguing the amount of people that did not know that Marcus Satterfield was in Shane Beamer's wedding. That seems to be breaking news for a lot of folks out there. So let me say, yeah, in case you did not know, this is a situation where Shane Beamer will be firing his friend, his very good friend. I don't know about you all. For those of you out there who have been married, who have had wedding parties, if you will, if you have somebody in your wedding party, generally you're pretty tight with them. You're pretty close, right? Best friends, dare I say. So, yeah, for those who did not realize, Marcus Satterfield was in Shane Beamer's wedding. So now it makes you wonder, how close are they? And is this going to be a difficult decision for Shane Beamer due to personal interests? And I know that scares a lot of people because it takes you back to Will Muschamp. And I hate to utter Shane Beamer's name and Will Muschamp's name in the same sentence, but that is very similar. That is a very similar type of circumstance. And again, we heard Michael Bratton say it earlier in the year. He talked about Satterfield, and I would echo it. You don't hire family and you don't hire friends when it comes to the coaching ranks because it's such a cutthroat business. It's such a results-oriented business. And you should never allow emotion to cloud logic. Never allow emotion to cloud logic. And so when you have your family employed or your friends employed, emotion clouds logic. It does. We saw it with Muschamp, and are we seeing it with Beamer? I don't know. I mean, I am confident that Beamer will make the move after the season, but I'm surprised the amount of people that did not know that yes, Marcus Satterfield was indeed in Shane Beamer's wedding. I mean, these two dudes are tight. I mean, they're close. Again, I don't know how many of you out there, all of you who have been married, who have had a wedding party. I mean, I feel like you got to be pretty cool with the people that are in your wedding party. These aren't just random folks. You're tight with these people. So anyways, guys, we're waiting on Alex McGrath. He's going to join us here very, very soon. And the clip that folks are referring to about Dak Joyner, listen, I reposted it. People had sent it to me. There's a reason I put the caption, I present this with no comment. It could mean nothing, right? It could mean nothing. Dak Joyner could be a Jets fan. I don't know. But he reposted a clip, some Jets receiver asking, they asked him, what's your chemistry with Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback? And he said, I don't really know how to answer that because I don't get the ball. I don't get the ball. So none. And Dak Joyner put that on his story on Instagram. So again, is it overanalyzing it, saying, well, this is how he feels? He's just voicing it through this video. That's why I said presented without comment. Hey, what do you think it means? I'm not going to tell you what it means. It could mean anything, but it's intriguing to say the least. It's intriguing. It's intriguing. So anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Appreciate you all tuning in. By the way, guys, I think I had told you all that I was going to, because I know we're talking football, and some of you are probably going to comment and say, Chris, why are you even talking about this? It's football season. But in case y'all did not realize, basketball season is here. Gamecocks men's basketball has an exhibition tomorrow. Women's basketball had one last night and just beat the ever-living hell out of Benedict. Cox by 91, by the way. 91-point victory. But basketball season is here. Literally, the regular season gets going next week. And I had said earlier, I think last week, that I would drop the basketball season preview tomorrow. Obviously, you guys see and know that I'm out of town, and I really want to be able to do the basketball season preview show. And and do it to the best of its ability. So I'm going to hold off on that. I'm not going to drop it tomorrow. I want to wait until I'm back in studio. So I think that's going to drop in a special bonus podcast Tuesday of next week. I think that's when we're going to do it. Guys, while we're waiting for Alex McGrath, hey, let's go ahead and jump into a quick break, and we'll get Alex in on the other side. More of your questions, comments, calls, and Alex McGrath will join us. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Okay, guys, we're back taking your questions, comments, calls. Right now, though, we're going to bring on my good friend, Alex McGrath joins us every single Tuesday as pressers are going on right now. And by the way, there are some very interesting comments coming out. Jaheim Bell saying, quote, "It's very frustrating." And by the way, the fact Jaheim Bell taking the podium today, that is a very interesting move by USC. But either way, Jaheim Bell saying it's very frustrating going through the week, knowing you're going to get the ball and it doesn't happen. I try to let it go that Sunday, come in on Tuesday and be positive. He also says, no, I wasn't expecting to have just 9 snaps. I was expecting to have a big game, but on to the next game, preparing for Vanderbilt. So things are just peachy in the building going into the Vandy game. And again, we bring on my good friend, Alex McGrath, every single Tuesday. Alex, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing good, buddy. How are you?
Hold on, my guy. Hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Man, sorry, I had your audio on the wrong input. What's up, man?
Oh, just another beautiful day in paradise, my man.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, man. It's boy, isn't it crazy how this thing is such a week to week game. 1 week I got people calling in saying, Chris, we're gonna be 8-2 going into Tennessee. We're getting college game day. We might never lose again. To burn the program down, fire everyone. We're never gonna win again. We shouldn't be favored at Vanderbilt. I mean, it's the roller coaster of being an SEC football fan.
That's fair. That's very fair. I would almost rather discuss the midterm elections with you rather than talk about what happened at Missouri.
Yeah, I think I'm the wrong guy for that, Alex. I got to be honest.
We all are. It's just I would rather pontificate about that than
fair enough.
What I assume is going to be a fun session for Satterfield here.
Oh yeah, Alex. Anyways, man, how was the weekend outside of the obvious, and then Halloween? Did you have a fun night with the? Did y'all do anything with the kiddos, or how was the Halloween?
We had the Halloween is a sacred holiday in our neighborhood, so it's a big time for the kiddos, and there's more candy in my house right now than should be. So we'll see how quickly we can get them.
How much candy does Dad steal? You got a sweet tooth or no?
Not for that kind of stuff. No, like I don't really like milk chocolate. Like if there's something dark chocolate wandering around there, I might go grab that. But like almost everything that goes like fun size, like Reese's and Kit Kats and Milky Ways, Snickers, that kind of fun stuff.
I was gonna say, are you a candy guy? Some people are like a cake person, ice cream, cookies. Like what do you
cookies,
run
to? Cookies I enjoy a lot.
I tell you, man, my sister at her wedding, instead of having a traditional wedding cake, they had bundt cake, bunch of different bundt cakes. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you know what a bundt cake is. Yeah, dude, immaculate, red velvet bundt cake. I mean, a destroyer of worlds, bro. I mean, yeah,
that sounds delightful.
Picasso.
Yeah, it was art on a plate.
Yeah. I will say, Alex, on that note, I'd much rather spend the next 20, 30 minutes or so talking about cake versus what we're going to be talking about. But, we've got to get into it for the people. Gamecocks falling to Missouri 23-10. Yeah, an abysmal Saturday. I almost don't even know where to start. Outside of the obvious with Marcus Satterfield. And I think – it's one of those things, Alex, we knew over the course of the 4-game winning streak. And those of us, I feel like you and I, when we chat, we look at things very critically, right? We're not going to allow, one facet of the game struggling to ruin our joy of winning, right? But we weren't ignorant or naive enough to overlook the fact that the offense was still kind of sputtering along while the rest of this football team and the defense and special teams was carrying this group. Well, I think what you and I both probably expected to happen at some point, maybe not Saturday, happened, whereas you were going to come into a game where either things were going to be even or you were even going to lose the facets of the game in regards to special teams and defense, and your offense was going to have to pick you up. And that happened on Saturday. And unfortunately, the question of can your offense pick you up when that happens? The answer was a resounding no. Just everything you saw from the game on Saturday. And again, the obvious, which is the offense is just a complete mess right now.
We could have played better on offense, I think is. I know we've had this conversation.
The understatement of the century.
We've had this conversation too many times to be what game is this in his tenure? What are we? 7, 8, 20,
21. This will be going into
21?
number 22.
This is the 21st game of his tenure. I have no idea what our strategy is.
Yeah.
Have we thrown a slant this year?
I get that question a lot, and I think the answer is no. I think we've maybe thrown one, but I don't think so. I don't know.
Have we thrown a post?
We haven't done these things consistently enough where it's not unfair of you to ask the question, or it's unfair of you to ask the question. Let me just say that. So not enough.
I don't know, man. Not enough. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I feel like 2 games in a row we've tried to throw Stogner a fade route in the corner of the end zone. All for it. He's huge. Just throw it up and let him go get it.
Right.
I don't know why we do that with him so tight into the boundary. Like, pull him towards the formation a little bit and let him run at an angle and you throw it towards the corner. I don't know, man. Like, it was so frustrating to watch that. Let's talk about the midterms.
Or cake.
Or cake. I don't know, man. I'm out of ideas. I'm out of explanations. Like, did Spencer play great? No. It obviously kills you that Marshawn goes down early.
God,
and
R.I.P.
you lose
the
that
running
cognitive.
game. R.I.P. the running game when he goes out. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
But even to that point, it wasn't really going anywhere. And R.I.P. the running game is fine, but like, even when you put Beal Smith and Juju back there, they're getting hit as soon as they take the football from Spencer.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you couple that with what Van said on his podcast, which I know he walked back, with what Spencer said in the press conference, which I don't think he's walked back. I mean, you posted that thing earlier with DK's Instagram. Like, that doesn't seem like a subtle shot at anything. Like, I don't know what the solution is, but you got to do something, because that's, I don't know, man.
The amount of damning evidence that has very little to do with the actual on-field statistics. I mean, the on-field statistics alone are enough, but then you factor in everything else. I don't see how Marcus Satterfield can survive it. And I mean, obviously you and I, everybody, we're behind Shane Beamer 110%, but it would be damaging, I think, to bring him back. It would be damaging to his future. And just, speaking of midterms and speaking of the political side of things, like when they run those like approval rating poll things, whatever they are, right? They poll everyone, like, for Shane Beamer to keep his approval rating where he wants it to be, you bring Sat back, and I just unfortunately think that takes a massive hit. And, again, how long can you ignore what kind of feels like the obvious at this point? Because you can come down on Spencer Rattler all you want. You can pick apart the O-line, the receivers, this, that, whatever, the execution. You can pick it apart all you want. But, Alex, when I watch on Saturday, I just see a group that's running in mud. I see a group moving half speed. I see a group that is just is thinking. They're not playing. They're thinking. It's robotic. It's not, hey, it's a bunch of guys in the backyard, pick it up. Let's go let athletes be athletes and make plays. It's just, guys are thinking, and they're just, who gives a damn if you got a pro style offense if you can't execute it and play fast and score? What does it matter? What does it matter?
It doesn't. It's just, it's your philosophy, right? It's like, you wouldn't have taken it's like whoever, like, when Paul Johnson left Georgia Tech, if they brought in Mike Leach and they just immediately tried to run Mike Leach's system, like, that's not going to work with the personnel that you've got in front of you. So you cannot continue to do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. Like, that's not what they do well. Figure out what they do well.
Stephen,
and I don't think it's bubble screens.
Yeah, especially on 3rd and 18.
I just can't even. I can't go there.
Steven Garcia had some very some I say bold words to say, but Steven Garcia was very brutally honest and just came out about the possibility of maybe a change is needed at quarterback. What say you about Spencer Rattler's play under center? And I mean, obviously the statistics are terrible. 5 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And I think the root of the problem is set. Does changing quarterbacks, do you think it does anything? Because I don't tend to think it solves the problem in any way. I understand though the vantage point of if you change nothing changes, right? If you do
Right.
nothing, you change nothing will change, right? But I just don't. I mean, are you changing? Are you making a change because you actually feel like Luke Doty can come in and do more than what you're getting, or are you doing it just to do it? You know what I mean? Like, do you create a new problem? Do you create a new problem?
I don't think you create a new problem. I don't think so. I think Luke brings an element that Spencer doesn't have.
Yeah.
Which is if that pocket breaks down, he's got more Connor Shaw in him than Spencer Rattler does, where he can get out of the pocket, make something happen. I mean, it's just like, whether it's Spencer's fault or not, there's been a lot of turnovers on offense this year, whether it's fumbles, interceptions. If Luke eliminates at least the fumble portion of that, I think that's a net positive. But, running the same plays, all things being equal, no, I don't think you get anything different out of it. I think the different element that's in there is just that he's able to create more with his legs than Spencer is. And does that help bolster the offense? I mean, you wouldn't think so because it's a pro-style offense, and that's not what you're supposed to do in the pros. But, I mean, that may bring a different element to it.
I mean, is there anything, Alex, you see specifically, X's and O's, what we're running, what we ran on Saturday? What do you see? Do you feel like there's something there they're trying to do that you feel like could work, that it's not being executed, or is it just doomed from the start?
I don't know, man.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, right, that somebody could be an offensive coordinator in the SEC, and like it's just hard to believe that like plays wouldn't be there. It is. It's hard to believe that.
I mean, I think it's probably a combination of all kinds of things. It's just like the play may be there and maybe just not. But all right, so if we assume that, let's say the play is there and it's just not being executed, like Spencer would have been pulled a long time ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if he's just not hitting it and he can't do it, they're not gonna sink their coaching careers for Spencer. I don't think.
Yeah.
But it's more than that, man. It's throwing, tight to the boundary fades to Stogner, calling a screen pass on 3rd and 18 when you're down 2 scores in the 4th quarter. It's these constant, bubble screens you're running out to the right and the left. And it's just like, get somebody open down the field. Or it's like, or even better yet, like if the pass protection is suspect, don't call a ton of 5-step drops. Like, get the ball out quick. This is before we even get into Jaheim Bell played 9 plays. Which I don't have words for that.
I'm about to say, I haven't even gotten there yet.
No words for that.
Yeah, that's malpractice at its finest.
I mean, like, did at no point somebody, like, look down the sideline, like, what are you doing here?
Why are you not on the field? I mean, that's
yeah, what are you doing over here?
That's that you just can't explain. You know what I mean? That's the one that you cannot explain that any way, shape, or form. That where it will make sense.
No, because then it like, I don't know. I'm stretching here, but then it kind of gets into like personnel mismanagement too. Like, do you not have somebody out there like tracking this and putting people in the right places and blah, 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 and I just don't know how that's even possible. Mm-hmm. That your potentially best offensive playmaker played 9 snaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Steven Garcia was befuddled. I'm befuddled. You're befuddled. I think everybody's befuddled that's watching this because even if you feel like there's some people out there with the conspiracy theories, they feel like, well, maybe Jaheim Bell's not as good as we thought he was. Even if you think that, but even if you do, it's like he's one of the best players on this offense for sure. For sure. And that's no slight at anybody, but like he is. He is. For sure he is. He's got a skill set unlike anybody basically on your offense. And for him to not touch the football or even get targeted with the ball when you're struggling.
Because I almost feel like I saw a comment like after the game because some enterprising young reporter asked that question. It's like, well, the personnel sets didn't really line up or something like that. And I was just like, then put him at slot receiver.
Yeah.
Like,
which is,
it's
Alex,
not complicated.
Which is, and again, I'm not an SEC offensive coordinator. I'm not a football coach, but to me, that was always kind of the kind of baffling. Like, I don't understand why we didn't move him to wide receiver because I don't view Jaheim Bell as a hand in the dirt tight end. And then you got Marcus Satterfield saying, well, he's not seeing as many snaps because his blocking is. It's like, at what point is zero on the field to block? At what point? When is he ever out there to block? Jaheim Bell is not out there to block. He's not going to be doing that in the NFL.
No.
I don't understand why he wasn't converted to a just pure wideout. And they tried this wide back thing, saying he's going to play all over, and that's the craziest thing too. Is he's our Debo, he's our wide back. Debo Samuel don't get 0 targets. I can guarantee you. Never does that happen.
No. I don't know, man.
And so then you couple all the on-field struggles, and then you couple that with all the the things said in pressers and players saying things. And it's just, I think he's a dead man walking, man. I think the writing's on the wall. And obviously I've made my stance very clear, but I even said, Alex, and I think you and I both agreed. And I don't know that we led with this conversation last week, obviously, because we were celebrating the win as we should have been. But I said after A&M, I said, this 4-game winning streak is great. I feel great right now. I also agree that we probably need to, after season, let Satterfield's contract run out and go get a new OC because our offense is not doing well
No,
enough.
and you know what? And I know this is good. Again, we're going deep in the weeds and going Galaxy brain on this, but I know Satterfield is one of Beamer's best friends, right? Like, you don't even have to fire him; just demote him out of there and let Kitchens call plays. Like, he can still coach. Like, I don't care. Just let somebody else call plays.
Yeah, and I was just talking about that, Alex, before you jumped on. The amount of people that do not know that Satterfield was in Beamer's wedding. And I, again, hey, you've been married. I haven't. Those who have been married, that have had wedding parties, obviously. I don't feel like somebody's in your wedding unless you're pretty close. Like, you got to be pretty good damn buddies to have somebody in your wedding, as far as I know. I don't think these are like complete strangers or anything.
No, they're not. These are lifelong friends.
Right. So I just, I would say this, unfortunately, Alex, I think we're at a point because Shane Beer made it very clear in his Sunday night teleconference that he was asked, have you considered changing up play calling duties? His answer was a clear, concise, nope. And that's it. So it sounds like they're going to wait till end of season, which is unfortunate for Gamecock Nation because there is nothing that Shane Beamer can say right now outside of we're firing Marcus Satterfield or we're moving on from him as our play caller that will appease the appetite of Gamecock fans. That or just waiting until Saturday and hopefully getting a bounce back W over Vandy. But there's nothing that can be said, like in this Tuesday presser upcoming in 25 minutes or so. There's nothing Shane Beamer can say that's going to make it okay for people.
No. But to your point, like the proof's in the stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else. Like, you obviously he got a pass for 2021 because your quarterback situation was a complete mess. You don't know what you're playing with, yada, yada, yada. But to like bring all those pieces back and make a bunch of additions, and it's the exact same. I don't know. It may just be like hangover frustration from the Muschamp years, where like you just watch the offense peter away like every opportunity we ever had. And so
I think,
there's
Alex,
frustration
I
there.
think that's what a lot of it is. Because I started to see some people. I mean, we're in the middle of year 2, and people questioning Shane Beamer, and I do think it's PTSD. I think it's been so long since we've been good on offense. I think we saw this same kind of buddy ball, if you will, with Muschamp and bringing in guys he knew as OC, and that's why even Alex, I know there's not a vacancy yet, obviously, but people have asked me, would you like Kitchens to get the job? Would you prefer that? Would I trust Beamer? I'm gonna trust Beamer either way. But I feel like after the Muschamp era, I'd prefer to go outside because it feels like such a lazy, typical move. Like it's such a lazy move that just the guy in the building I know Freddie Kitchens is a name, right? He's been an NFL head coach, but I don't know, man. I think you need to go out and truly get a name, get somebody that injects confidence in the fan base. Like it'll be surprising if we're not good on offense. How about that?
I like that idea a whole lot. Now, who that may be, I don't know, but you can throw out the usual characters.
Yeah,
Your Garrett
Jeff
Rileys,
Levy's, the
Kendall
Garrett Rileys of the
Briles,
world, Phil Longos of the world. Yeah. What's Art Briles doing these days?
I think he's in Canada somewhere. I don't know the answer to that. Listen, we could be a rehabilitation project for like Cale Gundy too while we're at it.
I just want points, man. Just find a guy that's going to bring points to Columbia. I think we'll all sign up for that. I will say this, Alex. Again, obviously it's really interesting, the SEC roller coaster, the up and down. 1 week you're never going to lose again. The next week you're never going to win again. The bottom line is this, though. The sun has continued to rise each and every single morning after the Mizzou game, and South Carolina's got to return to SEC play this weekend at Vanderbilt. The mood going into this one, again, is really intriguing. It's a night game in Nashville, which what does that really mean? It means Gamecock fans will have all day to go party and hang out and take advantage of Nashville festivities. I don't expect it to be some raucous Commodore environment or anything. Over the years, Alex, for whatever reason, I mean, literally since you were there, death, taxes, and beating Vanderbilt in football, South Carolina's won 13 straight. It doesn't matter how good the Gamecocks are, bad they are. They find a way to win. That's a positive, and it can be a scary thing, though, because you feel like, is Vandy due? Is this the moment they get South Carolina? How do you view this ball game? And outside of the obvious, which is, well, I want to see them win the game, what do you want to see? And I'll take it a step further. Would you expect to see changes, maybe even wholesale changes when it comes to the offensive side of the football? Because while Marcus Satterfield is still employed, I find it really hard to believe they're going to be that hard-headed and go out there and try to do the same exact thing. I mean, you got to think Jaheim Bell is going to get more touches this weekend than he's had all season, because you got his mom going off. He's not pleased. That, to me, I think is the most obvious point of emphasis that you're going to see in this ball game.
I mean, you'd hope. I mean, before the last press conference, he said if it was up to me, I'd give him the ball 20 times a game. And he had less plays than that. I mean, do I think we're going to run the exact same scheme next week? Yes. It's going to be the exact same thing. If Jaheim Bell might touch the ball like 3 or 4 more times. Is that good enough to beat Vanderbilt? Probably. But it's just, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of at a loss for what I saw on Saturday, and I just don't really know where to go with it.
Dude, I mean, what is there to say? I mean, dude, and I'm not sure if you've been able to tune into any of this show at all, but dude, the phone lines have just been nonstop. I mean, I think the vent session is probably going to carry into like Thursday when it's like, all right, well, now let's talk about Vandy. It might go all week. Hell, I don't know.
This feels like it's going to go all week. I'm just giving you
not a therapy Monday. It's a
check
therapy
from
week.
the people I talk to.
It's a therapy week.
I mean,
and it's crazy, Alex. This one hit harder than I maybe even expected. Like this loss, and I think it just comes back to because of the momentum that you squandered. And I labeled it the most important game of the season. I'm not going to say that the loss to Mizzou undid, you snapped a streak over A&M. You beat a Kentucky team you desperately needed to beat. It didn't undo those things, but that loss to Mizzou put a black mark on this season that is really hard to overcome. And now, Alex, what you find, you and I have spent so much time talking about going to Kentucky week. This nagging Kentucky streak. This makes no sense. Missouri has become that team. They've beaten you 4 in a row. And it just feels like so weird. It feels wrong. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, it does. I don't like, honestly, like I'm infinitely more confused about what we saw on Saturday than I was when we got just absolutely drumbeat by Texas A&M last year. Like that, you could kind of see that was in the weeds, like that's coming. Like this one made no sense. And not even because it was like, we just couldn't hold on to the football. It was like you're bouncing passes off receivers' chests, or you're just like missing high. I don't know what I watched Saturday from an offensive perspective. I don't
think many of us do, to be honest with you. I don't think many of us do. But I think what it goes to show out, because I agree with you. I unfortunately, I know a lot of fans are going to hate to hear this. I don't expect a lot to change. I kind of just think we're going to ride it out with Sat. We are who we are, and we got to keep the fingers crossed that Beamer ball to the freaking moon shows itself. Because I think that's our recipe. That's our identity as a football team. And could the offense have a better day? Give Mizzou credit. They got a good defense. Does Vandy? Hey, Vandy, by the way, I think it's either the worst or the second worst pass defense in the conference, by the way, just so you know. So that will make that will make an abysmal performance even more inexcusable when it probably inevitably happens. but you've just got to hope, offensively you can get 14 to 17 points and your defense and special teams can account for 14 of their own. And that's how this team wins, Alex. And I hate to say that, but that's until we see otherwise. We saw it. I mean, you think about it. Discount Charlotte and SC State because the JV team could have beaten them. In the wins over Charlotte, Kentucky, and Texas A&M, the recipe's been the same. Or no, excuse me, not Charlotte. Georgia State, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. The recipe's been the same. Special teams plays, defensive plays, the recipe's been the same. So, I don't think it's doom and gloom we're going to lose out, but I don't think we just beat Vandy head-to-head. Our offense scores more than their offense. At this point, how can you have certainly you don't go to Gainesville and do that. Certainly you don't.
No. But then we'll do something stupid like beat Florida by like 21.
Hey,
it's coming.
Hey,
we're gonna squeak by Vandy,
in Gainesville too. It's a mess in.
I know.
Did you see the beat reporters like I'll be here longer than Billy Napier anyways. I don't care. Like things are just going great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, things are going
great in Gainesville. Because we know that the life of the Gamecock fan is we're gonna squeak by Vanderbilt by like 3, and then we're gonna throttle Florida in the swamp. Like I just know that's what's gonna happen. And then everybody's going to get a contract extension, and then we're going to be back on this program the week of the Tennessee game, just like yelling about it.
And then our fans are going to get irrationally high hopes for the Tennessee game, and then we're going to get demolished.
We're going to get A&M.
And then we're going to go through the same Tuesday. And I love Coach Beamer, but he would admit this is true. We're going to go through the same Tuesday coach speak. We need our fan base there. We need our fans to pack it out. We need to sell out. And we're going to sell it out to lose 56-17. Like, that's what's going to happen. Probably.
That's tough. Like, I don't see a lot of positives going into that one. I'll put it that way.
On that note, Alex, before I get you out of here, I'm gonna force your hand. Are there any positives you see moving forward? I mean, I realistically, and I'm not. This is not me trying to take the opponent take the opponent lightly. In a positive spin zone, at least we play Vandy this week, and not like a Georgia. Like, at least we don't play Tennessee this week, right? Thank God.
That's good.
I mean, outside of we literally probably can't play worse on offense. I mean, is there anything is there anything you feel like going into this weekend? I mean, I know it's tough, man, because it's therapy week, like you said, but is there anything positive you can think of? We need it, man. Give us something. Give the people something, man.
I mean, hopefully, because if Vanderbilt's that atrocious in the passing defensive secondary, like, hopefully you can get some semblance of an aerial attack going and carry that over to Florida, which is what I really wanted to see us do against, like, Charlotte and SC State, but we chose not to do that for, again, reasons that are beyond me. And hopefully that's something we can get going this weekend. That's my positive, because that's where all our best players are, assuming Marshawn Lloyd's not playing.
I think
so. Get
Lloyd
them the ball in space down the field.
Yeah, I think Lloyd should be okay but then again, I see that, and that's the funny thing, man. It's funny to me, and I feel like you're probably the same way, maybe not, but like when people get so upset over press conferences and literally coach speak, and like, is it great for content for me? Yes. Do I take literally everything I hear throughout the week with a grain of salt? Yes. I just, like, what? Yeah, I don't think any of it. You know what I mean? Because it's such like and you have to be this way because, Mark Stoops showed you. Hey, Jimbo Fisher showed you what happens when you talk shit as a coach and you got a guy like Lane Kiffin dancing on your grave and then Shane Beamer dancing on Mark Stoops' grave. That's why they do the coach speak, because the last thing you want to give your opponent, your enemy, is another bullet. Why would you hand your opponent the gun? You know what I mean? Like, at least make them go find it or something. Like, at least make them earn it. But so it's all just this programmed, robotic, we're going to show up and go get them. Have you ever heard a coach go into a Tuesday presser and say, honestly, I don't think the team we're playing this week is all that great. I think we should be able to run it up on them. I mean, you see, we're favored by 24 in Vegas. I feel as confident as ever. Like, they're not going to say that. They're gonna say.
I mean, admittedly,
everybody's
that feels
great.
like something Spurrier would say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I literally, I forget.
I don't think he did, but
I think it was Chris Doring that actually told me though that Spurrier, he was a guy when he was at Florida. He was a cocky SOB, and for good reason. But I mean, he's just the type of coach. He'd go out there at the 50 and shake your hand and say, well, we're going to score 50 today. You're going to score 51 to beat us. So, I mean, that's just,
I mean, that's just what he did.
But he did that. He did that. I mean, hell, he talked crap on us before he came to Columbia when he said, we did the blackout in 2001. He said, yeah, well, help the receiver see the ball better. Appreciate him doing the blackout. I was like, God. So, but again, it's like when you're the man, you can do it.
You can.
Yeah.
We'll be there again one day. Unfortunately, that year's not this year.
Did he talk shit like with y'all? Did he ever, like the week of a game, say, guys, we ought to be able to just run up down the field? We're going to have a big week off. Like, or is it coach speak to the players also?
No, it's definitely not coach speak to the players. I mean, like, he would give off the cuff, like, just remarks. He's like, they ain't that good. All right. So, just kind of little things like that. But he would never say that, like, to the reporters.
Right. But the convo was most certain. It's most certainly different behind the scenes versus what you're telling.
Yes.
Reporters and all that. Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. Because you don't want to give your opponent obviously any bulletin board material, but Spurrier, man, what a legend. What a legend. It's not to get off on a tangent about Coach Spurrier, but Yeah, I mean, I've had people tell me he was actually like a really socially awkward guy, which is what makes him so funny. Because he says things. I mean, I think some of his smack talk, he doesn't even really think it's smack talk, but he's just like, things that he says about opponents. He's like, Georgia, they keep out recruiting us, and we just keep beating them. Like stuff like that. I don't even know if he's trying to talk crap, but it's like hilarious. Like,
He's not.
right?
No, he's just.
He feels like he's just pointing out the obvious. Like.
Yeah, he's just saying whatever pops into his head.
Or when he's making the comment about, love playing Georgia that second week of the season. They got all those guys suspended. Like, I don't even know if he's even trying to talk crap. He's just pointing out a fact, like.
There was 1 year, it was after I was gone, but we absolutely worked Arkansas on their homecoming. And like one of the opening lines of his presser was like, man, it's tough to get your butt beat like that on homecoming weekend. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. So it's like he doesn't even like, he's not even leading with like, oh, I'm gonna really needle him, but he's like, that was what made Spurrier's trash talk so great. It was organic. It was just so organic.
It was
so natural. Like, yeah.
It's like, it was almost as if like he didn't know what the score was until he looked at the stat sheet. He was like, oh, it's tough to get your butt beat like that on homecoming.
Like, yeah, like he didn't realize the whooping they had put on him. Alex, that was the positive and the laugh that we needed in the show. I appreciate you, man. Looking forward to the weekend. You busy this weekend? Or I'm not trying to air out your personal plans on the show, but if you're
not really. What, you got something going on?
We got the watch party at the Woodruff Road Ale House. Yeah, we'll be at Woodruff Road.
I could probably make that. I could probably make that work.
7:30 kickoff. If you want to swing by, bring the fam. Whatever you want to do, or not. That might be a little past their bedtime. I know it's a late kick, but
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, my blessings will be asleep at that point. So that's a good thing for me.
There you go. So yeah, we'll be out at Carolina Ale House, Woodruff Road. All the upstate Gamecocks tuned in. Come out. You might get to meet the legend himself, Alex McGrath. Alex, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Looking forward to our conversation next week, and hopefully we're having a lot more happy conversations this time next week, man.
Hopefully.
If not, I mean, this combo, the combo next week is going to make this combo feel like we were huddled up in a circle singing Kumbaya together. It'll be that level.
Well, I mean, listen, next Tuesday is election day, so we can just go full into our election coverage and talk about races.
Yeah.
We'll just choose to ignore whatever happened.
We're live from the booth.
Yeah.
Alex, always a pleasure, man. We'll talk next week. I appreciate you, my man.
See you, dude.
Take care. Alex McGrath, really, really good stuff. William Yex, you can watch the Beamer presser right here. You can watch it right here. I'm not even going to jump into a break. We do have Shane Beamer upcoming. Yeah, stay right here, William Yex. Yeah, I'll air it right here. We will share the screen, and we'll be good to go. So that was really good stuff. That was really good stuff from Alex McGrath there. Appreciate him taking the time. It's always a pleasure. Guys, in the meantime, let's see. Zach Pickens talking about the Mizzou loss. He said, quote, "What we showed last week wasn't us. I feel like we relaxed a lot because we arrived 5-2. We didn't attack how we should have. Got embarrassed." Well, that's on coaching, and I hate to say that, but that's on coaching. That's on coaching, and that's such a disappointing comment to read, man. Because to feel like at 5-2 you've arrived. We're 5-2, man. We're 25th in the top 25. That's so disappointing, man. To say that. To say that is so disappointing. I mean, it really, like, don't say that. Don't say that. It's like Jordan Burch saying, well, I feel like I could have given better effort. I didn't give my top effort Saturday night. Dude, even if you think it, just don't say it. Don't say it. Guys, phone lines are open, by the way, for the next 5 minutes or so while we wait on Coach Beamer. If somebody wants to squeeze a call in here, you're more than welcome. If not, that's totally fine as well. That That Pickens comment. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Anyways. Brad Crawford tweeting, once South Carolina went off script in the first half against Mizzou, the Tigers defense knew what plays were coming, according to lineman Eric Douglas. Here we go. Robbie, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. How's your trip going?
It's going well, man. Enjoying it. It's high 80s here, man. So I'm loving the weather, loving life. It's good, man.
I'm coming to Florida.
Yeah, and it's
It's getting cold over here. But I wanted to say this.
Yeah,
okay?
go ahead.
If like I've said before, my dream job, I would want to be a basketball coach, right? That's like my dream job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I was going to hire a friend of mine, or in this particular case, Beamer, someone that was in my wedding, okay, I would tell that person flat out, like, we're friends, I love you, but if you being on this coaching staff jeopardizes me having my dream job at where I want to coach, I have no problem letting you go. I love you, you're my friend, but if this starts to jeopardize my position here where I am right now, I will let you go and not even blink.
Yeah, I mean it's a cutthroat business, man.
And I think we will bounce back against Vandy, and I will definitely give you my prediction come Thursday. And one thing that I would definitely do, okay, unless Bell is dog ass tired, I would make sure that Bell is on the field, or our main athletes are on the field. Okay. The fact that Bell only had 9 snaps last week is appalling to me.
Mm. And
I would be putting him like at wideout, okay? Not at tight end. I'd be putting him in the slot. I'd be putting him way over by the sidelines and throw fades to him. I would figure out ways to get that man the football come hell or high water.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would expect them to force feed him the football. So, I mean, you got to.
Yeah, but
so,
that's all I got.
Yeah.
I know the press conference coming up, but have a safe trip back to Greenville.
Robbie, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
All right, man. Take care. Great stuff from Robbie Davis. Short, sweet, to the point. Yeah, force feed the football to Jaheim Bell, no question. I mean, I will be stunned if he doesn't touch it this week. I'll be stunned. All right, looks like it's starting, guys. Beamer about to come on. This should be interesting, so let's enjoy together. We will talk after. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk in a bit.
Also known as the Nets were like, we need to do something, and Steve Nash was like, well, I don't want to work here anymore, so that's fine.
So you're gonna pay me how much?
Yeah.
That's not a job I don't want to do anymore.
Sign me up.
Go Nets. Use the word mutual. So anything I went to. Oh, he said
Yeah,
that
right.
he said that was a pleasure to work with the players. I don't know about that, Steve.
It was a pleasure to work with one player.
Kevin Durant. Maybe not even him.
Remember when he requested a trade and then unrequested a trade and then requested a trade and then unrequested a trade again? Benjamin Simmons, a delight to work with.
Do you not like Ben Simmons? You've never mentioned that at all.
I hate Ben Simmons much less than the average American. Much.
That's probably.
The bar's really high, but
Maybe close. Close enough.
I'm anti-invalidating people's mental illnesses because they're bad at basketball. But I am pro basketball.
All right. Yes, Coach Shane Beamer, you will make an opening statement and we'll
Yep. Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. I was talking to Juice. He was telling me how these bright lights made him nervous up here just a minute ago, and I told him that I had to come in here and take these tough questions for 30 minutes, and he has a newfound level of respect for me, I think, from that one as well. But big challenge this week going up to Nashville. Team, you look at the schedule they've played. They've played Ole Miss, they've played Alabama, and they've played Georgia. So three of the, I don't even know where everybody's ranked right now, but I know three of the top nationally ranked teams in this conference they've already faced. They with a minute to go in the first half, Vanderbilt's beating Ole Miss 20-10. They were up 13-3 at one point, and then last week or 2 weeks ago against Missouri, they're down 17-0 to Missouri and come back and had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win it. So it's a team that's very, very, very capable. They've got some really, really impressive and talented players. It's a mix of super seniors and true freshmen that they're playing up there. I think Clark has done a phenomenal job with his football team. They're recruiting to a certain skill set, size that they've identified, and you can see it. I mean, they're playing really, really, really hard. They're really, really well coached. They present a lot of challenges in all three phases. They've had a week off to get ready for this game as well, and certainly present problems, like I said, offensively, defensively, and on special teams. So it'll be a challenge for us going on the road again. And like I said, I got tons of respect for the job they're doing up there and how they continue to move that program forward and get better each and every week. Injury-wise with us, it's November 1st, and we play in the SEC, so there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises this time of year after 8 games, and that's what we have. And no one that we'd sit here today and say is definitely out, but certainly got some guys that are questionable. Terrell Dawkins practiced today and gets closer and closer to being able to play, and hopefully we can stay healthy here as we go through the rest of the week into Saturday and what should be a fun environment up in Nashville on Saturday night. So, questions?
Shane, a few of the players were in here and we're talking about how Missouri, especially as the game went on, seemed to know what you guys were going to run, like raising their hands and you guys were going to call a pass play. After watching the film, have you guys seen what they were seeing, what they were reading from the offense?
No. After every game, we self-scout, David. When we play opponents that we don't play again, we usually try and connect with those coaches, see what you had on us, what we had on you, non-conference teams, things like that. So we've done that often. We dove into a self-scout during the off week and saw some tendencies that we had. Some of the communication that we had with some coaches from some other schools, alerted us to some tendencies also, which we are no different than any other team. I mean, we've got tendencies that we're going to attack with Vanderbilt this week. There were tendencies that we tried to attack with Missouri, run pass, and every team, has those tendencies. Certainly a couple of them were, a little concerning. I think there was a 3rd and 2 that we had, and we were in a bunch set, which they were signaling pass. There's some things that, like I said, we've tried to combat the last couple weeks. Nothing that really jumps out at us from that game. And I also think, you try and change communication up and things like that, but these players aren't dumb. If they're hearing certain things coming out of the, quarterback's mouth, they may anticipate it being a pass and stuff like that. But nothing that's glaring, but something that we're always looking at as a staff in all three phases, trying to break tendencies just like every other school is in the country.
Hey, Shane, it seemed like Spencer was under pressure a lot on Saturday against Missouri. How do you guys schematically maybe go about changing some of that and getting the ball out of his hand quicker, maybe rolling him out some?
We got to certainly look at moving him out of the pocket and changing his launch point, and I said it all week, and I don't think anybody believes me. Still, that's a really disruptive defense that we just played. There's a reason they're top 4 in the SEC in total defense. They're disruptive at all positions. So sometimes you're going to get beat, and we've got a really good offensive line, and sometimes you're out there one-on-one against a really talented defensive end or defensive tackle or linebacker or whoever it is, and the other team's gonna win. So we've got to win our share of battles, but certainly we've got to continue to help Spencer with protection and move in the pocket, and that's every week, Colin. That's not just last week. I mean, I knew going into the game Missouri was gonna be disruptive and was going to make some plays against our offense and get us, unfortunately, in some negative yardage situations. And it happened too much. But you give Missouri credit, but you also look at being able to do things, running the ball, moving the pocket. We got the ball out of his hands quick. I mean, all those perimeter things were either screens or RPOs the other night, and that's how you get the ball out of his hands quick as well.
Shane, as far as what you said about you connect with other coaching staffs about what they had on you, what you had on them, what percentage of times or how often do other staffs not want to cooperate with you guys on that?
Usually I'm not reaching out to them, Gene, unless I know they're probably going to want to cooperate with me, if that makes sense. I mean, to me, and this goes all the way back to when I was a graduate assistant at Tennessee back in 2001 working for John Chavis. I mean, on Mondays or Sundays after a game, me, the DA, or the defensive coaches would be on the phone with the coaches from other schools that we just played, or, we're calling another SEC school to find out about an SEC school that they just played. I mean, I used to joke that there should have just been like a conference call with defensive coaches in the SEC back in the early 2000s every Monday morning, because we were all talking to each other anyway. So that's always been ongoing, but I'd say most of the time. I mean, it's typically a non-conference team that is not on your schedule anytime soon, i.e. Charlotte. I don't think we're playing Charlotte anytime soon, but after that game, being able to talk with some of their coaches or Georgia State, don't play them anytime soon, I don't think, talking to them at the beginning of the season. And then, you play teams in the SEC, but you have teams that, whether we talk to Arkansas or not, it's potential to talk to an Arkansas when you don't play them again for a while, down the road. So I think most coaches are open to it. And a lot of times that may be a conversation that I have with the head coach before the game on the field is, hey, we don't play each other again. We'd love to get our staffs together and talk tomorrow if that's something you're interested in doing. And they want the same information that we do.
So you play Mizzou every year, and you did it. Did you exchange any information with the Clemson staff going into bowl season last year?
No. I'm trying to think. Oh, because we played North Carolina, you mean? Or because no. Not that I would have, but I don't think Clemson even played North Carolina last year. I guess they played them. They played them in Chapel Hill a few years ago. I remember a really close game up in Chapel Hill a few years ago. But no, I probably should have reached out to them. I mean, I've known Brandon Streeter for a long time. I think Brandon's a good guy. Dabo's a good guy. I don't know if they wouldn't have wanted to help us or not, but we didn't. I would tell you if we did. We didn't, and I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. So shame on me.
I guess loosely on that topic, with the sideline stuff that y'all were doing on Saturday and have done in the past, obviously, do you feel like Missouri had a good kind of counter for when y'all would show a look or have something going, then look over and maybe adjust to what they were showing? Was there a chess match going on?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think sometimes it's such a cat and mouse game. It really is. I mean, teams that look to the sideline, let's put our defense on the field, and an offense looks to the sideline. Sometimes we may change it. Sometimes we act like we're changing it and we don't change it. Sometimes we don't do anything and we don't change it, and it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes Spencer may look to the sideline and we change it, or Sat says run what we have called. Or a lot of times, I think sometimes defenses will potentially, if you're checking as an offense, they've got maybe a basic check that they go to. Okay, they're in a man coverage look, and now they're going to jump into a two-deep zone type thing, and you try and anticipate those things as well. So, no, I wouldn't. Not once did I think, okay, we're checking this up thing, and they're checking and messing with what we have called. But you always got to be smart about doing that and just being able to mix it up also.
Hey, we heard from a few players today that there may be lower energy Saturday. Antoine Wells said that. Eric Douglas did. Devontae Reed talked about frustration setting in. How do you guard against that as a coach in the middle of a game like that and going into another tough road game here?
Just go right back to work.
Shane, a week from today, Election Day, just wanted to get your thoughts on whether you kind of encourage the guys to go vote as a team. Do you let it be their responsibility if they want, like most other people here in America? How do you handle that?
Yeah, we certainly something that we want to encourage our guys to do for sure. I know last year we actually had a speaker come in, I think on that Sunday or Monday beforehand, we had a speaker come in just to talk about the election and voting rights and all that as well around November. And then this year, I know we have I know the football team does. I'm not sure if it's a athletic department-wide Zoom or meeting that they're going to be on Monday night about that as well. So certainly want them to communicate, or want to communicate with them and want them to be have the opportunity to go do that as well. It's certainly very important.
Shane, you mentioned you haven't talked about changing play colors, but from an offensive standpoint outside of that, what can y'all do outside of that and maybe sustaining drives to really get this thing clicking the way you guys hope it would?
Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, I know I got asked that the other night too. And let me say this too. If I felt like changing the role of a coach on our staff, offense, defense, or special teams was the right thing to do right now, I would. To me, those are things that you look at the end of the season every year, last year included. And right now, the best thing for us is to go win football games here down the stretch, trying to win one this week against a good Vanderbilt team. And the thing that gives us the best chance to be successful is to continue to try and get better at where we are, right now. And you look at the big picture and whatnot, and that's kind of how I see things. We've got to coach better. We got to play better. We got to. It's a combination. I mean, as bad as it looked the other night, and I get it. It was bad. I see a lot of plays out there to be made as well. And every week you look back at why we didn't get that done in that situation, and that starts with me. And we've got to be better and continue to look at how we're teaching and giving our guys the best opportunity to make plays during the game and be successful.
Yeah, Shane, kind of going off of that, how do you evaluate the job that Marcus has done? I mean, obviously, you hear it. The fans aren't, super happy, but, how do you week in, week out sort of evaluate his role specifically?
Yeah, when you're in this profession, to me, when things aren't going well, it's the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback that get the blame, and that's just part of it and what you sign up for. Sad will tell you. I mean, he certainly. We all feel like we could be better. I could have been better, Clayton, Pete, but Sat would tell you the same as well. Each week is different. We haven't been good enough. I mean, I recognize that, but I understand what we're doing each week from a game plan standpoint. I understand what's being called during the games. I sit in on the meeting with the quarterbacks pretty much every day. During the week as well, understanding what they're being taught and coached and told as well. So there's no miscommunication from that standpoint. So he's, each week is a different week, and we've done some really good things, on offense this year, and we've got to, that's behind us, and now we're, moving into November now and got to continue to be even better.
Yeah, Coach, just looking at, obviously, what's waiting in those last couple games on the schedule and talking to the players, they don't seem to put any extra influence on the fact that these games are the best opportunity statistically just to get that bowl-eligible mark that everyone wants. Is that the message from y'all, not to put any extra pressure on that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, every game is going to be tough. I know it's easy for people to say, okay, well, you look at the next two opponents, and then you got these two after that. I mean, it's week to week. I know it's cliche, but it really is. And in our team meeting this morning, I didn't even bring up the bowl game or getting bowl eligible. Everything this week is just a total commitment to doing everything in our power to prepare this week to go play our very best in Nashville on Saturday night, and talking about how we do that in all three phases and what it's going to take, and not thinking so much about the results, but just the process of how we got to get to that. But I know we have a chance to continue to progress and be a really, really good football team. We've shown that in spurts this year, and we've just got to put all three phases together and do it more consistently than what we did the other night.
Shane, would you like to see Spencer Rattler run a little more? And if not, would you like to see a few more occasional packages, including one of your quarterbacks that is more of a running threat?
Are you talking about Luke or are you talking about DK? Or any of them?
Either one, whoever you think's the best running threat.
Okay. I mean, we've used Juju as like a wildcat quarterback. We got a lot of guys. I think Spencer is a better athlete, Gene, than people give him credit for. So certainly want to see him run. He did that some the other night. I mean, he had that play that he scrambled and I think got us the first down kind of going in the score over there towards our student section. And then he obviously ran on the play that he fumbled on in that game as well. But yeah, I mean, I trust him when he when he runs the football because he can run and he can make some people miss and he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. But also as your quarterback, you don't want to see your quarterback taking a lot of unnecessary hits either. So some of them, certainly some runs that he's had have been scrambles. He's had some runs this year that are, either zone read and he kept it or quarterback draw or whatever it may be. There's different things that each week you try and give your team the best chance to be successful. But then also believe anytime you're able to, Vandy does a great job of it. They got two quarterbacks that we're preparing for this week. And when you have the threat of a different guy at quarterback that can run the football, it's a challenge. And I know that from a defensive standpoint. But if you got other guys at quarterback in your run game, that means, Marshawn Lloyd's or Juju or CBS or whoever's not getting the ball too. But each week's different. But yeah, I got no problem with Spencer running it. And if it's there, and then also you're always trying to find ways to generate yards and present challenges for the opposing defense.
Shane, Jaheim was saying that some of the reason he hasn't been on the field as much has been personnel and kind of what you guys are doing. I guess just to clarify, what does that kind of mean on your guys' end as far as it's a quote unquote personnel thing? I guess what does that kind of mean in terms of why he maybe isn't getting as many on the field as much?
To me, it's and I'll say this: Jaheim needs to be on the field more than what he was the other night. I met with Jaheim on Sunday. We had a great 30-minute conversation downstairs, and I told him that, and that's on me. I'm the head coach, so he absolutely needs to be on the field more than he has. And I don't mean this in like a condescending way, but when you talk about personnel, we have 5 offensive linemen that are on the field on every single play. We have a quarterback that's on the field on every single play. And then we have, I'm assuming we all want Marshawn Lloyd on the field. I do. So what is that? That's 7 players. Well, now you play every play on offense with 11 guys that's who you can have on the field. So that leaves 4 guys. All right, great. Jaheim and Stogg and Juice and Van. Okay. Well, then people want to know why Juju's not out there. Why is DeCarrion not out there? Why is Xavier Legette not out there? Why is Jalen Brooks out there? Okay, well, let's go Jaheim and AB, Van, and Wells. Well, wait a minute. Why is Brooks not out there? Why is Stogg not out there? So I mean that, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. It's just we got a lot of guys that when we're game planning each and every week, you look at the other team's defense and say, okay, if we're in 10 personnel, meaning 1 running back and 4 receivers, here's the coverages that we anticipate. If we're in the defenses we anticipate. If we're in 12 personnel, 1 running back and 2 tight ends with 2 receivers, here's what we expect from the defense. If we're in 11, the other night we did some 20, or excuse me, we did some 13, meaning 1 running back, and we had 3 tight ends on the field at one time, Jaheim being one of them. Here's what we expect in that. So you're trying to formulate your game plan. Okay, if we're in 10, 11, 12, whatever, here's what you can expect. And then you put plays in and calls to be able to take advantage of that from a schematic standpoint, if that makes sense. Having said that, we want to get our best players on the field. And sometimes you just say, forget what personnel grouping it is and what coverage you're expecting. We need to get this guy on the field and get them the ball. And we do that every week. We haven't done a good enough job of it. I'll admit that. And it starts with we've got to do a better job of sustaining drives, staying on the field, not being down 17-0 after 11 offensive plays like we were the other night. And not that, I think I said it Sunday night, it's not like we threw the game plan out after going down 17-0, but you're not able to get back to everything that you maybe had planned to get to. So that's what it means. We got a lot of guys that we're trying to get the ball to. We have different things that we're calling them personnel-wise to get the right people on the field to try and get the coverage or the defense that we want to try and be able to take advantage of it. And but then also it's the old saying, it's players, not plays. And regardless of what a defense is going to give you, let's get so-and-so on the field and get him his touches and get Marshawn his touches and Jaheim and Juice and on and on and on. Sorry for the 3-minute answer to a simple question.
Hey, good. A bunch of the players in here earlier were just talking about execution kind of being what they feel like is missing for you guys right now. As you get into this kind of back half of the season, what can you do at this point to fix those little execution things, and what does that look like translated to game day?
Yeah, no, that's frustrating because that was the thing from the other night, Emily, is there's just a lot of plays that we had called that we didn't get executed like we did in practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, and that was the frustrating thing about the other night, some things that we were just a little off, for whatever reason. And again, that starts with me, but whether it be something that happened the first time they punted that we didn't get adjusted to, that we had literally, in the walkthrough that morning talked about this may happen, and when it happens, here's what we want to do. We didn't get that done, or a check on defense, or some calls that Clayton had for certain plays that we had those calls called against the play that we wanted it to be called against, and we didn't get the job done. And then offensively, whether it be something in the run game or something in the pass game that we didn't execute like. It wasn't like the first time we saw it. We did it in practice. And you go back to coaching, and where was the disconnect between taking it from the practice field to the game field? And because there was some the other night. So you look back at, again, how you're teaching it and making sure you're repping it enough in practice during the week versus different looks. So it just is second nature. And we're not doing too much offensively. I mean, if you watch this, we're running a lot of the same stuff, pass game and run game over and over again. You give the other team credit, but it's something that we certainly need to continue to look at why we just didn't execute as well as we needed to the other night.
I hesitate to ask this after you addressing the Jaheim Bell not getting more touches and why every guy can't get more touches, whatever. But with like Marshawn and CBS being banged up throughout the season, any of those other younger running backs, Amos, Carroll, gotten more opportunities in practice when those guys have not been able to play?
Yeah, they have to. Those two and Dante Miller for sure. I mean, Dante, he had the touchdown against South Carolina State or Charlotte. They got called back. Dante's a talented back, but yeah. One, even if they were healthy, just trying – the running back, as you know, is just a physical position that takes a pounding during the season. So just trying to keep our backs fresh so those guys are getting reps. And then also when you got guys like Marshawn and CBS that are banged up, that's going to get those other running backs more and more reps. And those guys are continuing to get better and doing some good things right now for us, those other running backs on offense and some of the stuff they're doing on special teams also.
Shane, it seemed like you guys had really good pass rush days against Kentucky and Texas A&M, and it seemed like Missouri was trying to get the ball out quickly to avoid that. Vanderbilt's probably going to do the same thing. How do you combat that, and how big of a challenge is that to try and affect the quarterback when the ball's out so quick?
No, it's a challenge. Missouri did a good job of getting the ball out quick, running the ball, and then moving the pocket, a little bit as well. And one of the movement throws was the same play that I talked about it in the press conference, but Tennessee scored on us against last year, and Arkansas tried it against us, and that was kind of moving the quarterback out of the pocket and then throwing verticals back across the field. And they wanted to protect the quarterback for sure. He took some hits against Vanderbilt, meaning Missouri's quarterback the week before, and they wanted to do that going into it. And that's kind of the way, Vandy plays in a lot of ways as well. They do a great job of throwing RPOs, and the receiver 14, Shepard. I mean, he's the second most touchdowns in the SEC this year, and the third leading receiver, if I'm not mistaken, in catches. They get the ball to him in a lot of ways, and a lot of them are just RPOs where he's gonna either hands it off or he just takes it and throws one-on-one out there to the field. They did that against Alabama and Ole Miss a few times, one-on-one, and he won. And then they move the pocket and they present some challenges in some run game stuff. So you gotta force them into passing situations for sure, and then you've just got to continue to find ways to, affect the quarterback, and that means hopefully hitting him. But we've done a good job too defensively this year of when we know we're not going to get to the quarterback, getting our hands up and having a chance to bat a ball as well when the quarterback throws it. We've done a really good job of that the last few games, and that's something that, okay, you don't hit him, but you can still affect that throw by using our length up front as well. Nothing, John? Wow. Thought you'd have them ready for me. Yeah, no, I've screwed that up.
Jade, on the, I guess, other teams knowing what play might be coming, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you guys had a different kind of card to block signals the other night. Is that right? Did I have that right?
Yeah, a lot of that is more just for our guys to be able to see where the signaler is coming from as well. So a lot of it, the stuff that we put up is just so they can see it, and there's our signalers on the sideline as well. But you're always trying to mix up one, who's signaling, where it's not the same guy every time. You're always trying to mix up, okay, if you are doing something off a wristband, they don't match whatever number you give for the wristband, and say, okay, last time it was 42, it was a handoff to Marshawn Lloyd, here comes. You try and mix that up also. So you always try and stay one step ahead, because you always try and stay one step ahead.
And then just real quickly, Corey Rucker, he's done for the season.
Yes, having surgery today.
Okay,
and we'll be done, and hopefully we'll get him back hopefully he'll be ready to roll for spring practice. Yep. Good. All right. See y'all in Nashville.
Okay, that's going to do it for Shane Beamer. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Just got like 2 minutes left or so. As I expected, again, there's nothing that Coach Beamer really could have said there that was going to make people feel any better. And I think, if anything, people just feel worse watching that, to be honest with you. He's going to deflect. He's going to coach speak. He's going to – it's coach speak, man. It's coach speak. So just seeing the comments, keeping up with everybody, I think most people actually feel worse. And I think we all saw that coming. I did. I feel like I saw that coming, that there's nothing Shane Beamer can say that is going to appease the appetite of what this fan base wants right now. And that is getting rid of Satterfield. There's just nothing he's going to say, right? There's just nothing that he's going to be able to say. So it's unfortunate. That's where we are. And, yeah, that's where we are. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. All we can do is continue to support. And I don't know. We'll continue to rant and vent and all that and bring light to it. And a lot of concerning comments today, a lot of scary comments, a lot of, I don't know, man. I don't know. That presser, what do you really take away from it? Again, I just don't know what Beamer could have said outside of, we're firing Marcus Satterfield, we're moving on. But it's not the most reassuring thing in the world. I don't feel any better. Again, I had low expectations, but yeah. I had low expectations for it, but yeah. I don't know. Does Beamer? Let me ask you this. Guys. I posed this question last year, and I'll pose it again this year. What if? Let's play the hypothetical game. What if Shane Beamer actually believes that Marcus Satterfield's scheme will work, and he believes in it, and he just feels like they're missing the pieces to make it happen, but he believes in it 110% that the scheme will work and that there is no even thought of moving on from Sat. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I just posed that question. What if? Just what if? Guys, we've hit 2:00. Appreciate you all tuning in. Podcast will drop tomorrow. TDC rocking all week. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.